Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be taking another look at station trading. So before we get into the flesh of the video, I have a new skin from CCP, and this time it is for the Caracal. It's quite a nice skin. Again, I quite like these. Not a huge fan of the Caracal model itself, but I do think the skin on this looks pretty cool. And again, if skins float your boat, then I will be giving this away in this video. All you need to do is drop a comment in the comments section and I will randomly determine a winner, and if you could like and subscribe, that would be a bonus as well. And generally with the skins giveaway, I will be giving one away roughly every 2 weeks. I think I'm going to have it down to. So at the moment we've still got the Astros and we've still got the Caracals, or we're going to have 20 of these in total, so quite a lot of skins. And again, I'll be doing that over the course of the months coming, so I'll be slowly giving away the Astro skins. I had considered doing it all in one big lump, but then decided, well, as new people come in, beneficial to kind of stretch it over a longer period, and therefore again there'll be skins being given away as we get through the months, pretty much in every video I imagine, so something to stick around for. So I have done a video more basic station trading, which I'll link in the description. I'm not going to go into the skills etc. required for station trading, as again I've covered that in previous videos and don't want to bore everybody with the same thing. But station trading is still a fantastic way of making lots of ISK, and the nice thing about station trading is it's incredibly safe. It's very hard to lose, i.e. be ganked and lose ISK that way, because again a lot of the time you don't need to leave the station, and it's scalable. And we've covered scalability in previous videos and how hard it is to actually scale up ways of making ISK in EVE. And station trading has that benefit that it is very, very scalable with the amount of ISK that you have. And the more ISK that you're making, again, it builds and yeah, can snowball pretty easily. So I'm going to go through a few items and just give you an idea of the amount of ISK that is there to be generated at the moment. And there is a guy who has a YouTube channel called OzEve. I will link his channel down below, and again if you are very new to station trading, then I would recommend checking out his channel. He does have some very good stuff on there, and he focuses predominantly on station trading, so his information is very good. He's very knowledgeable. I've watched a good number of his videos, and again I would highly recommend, if station trading is something that you want to get into, checking out his videos. So as an avid Abyssal runner, as you can see here, I do have a lot of the Abyssal items that slowly stack up over time, and the bonus with obviously acquiring these items is it probably wouldn't have been something I spent a lot of time looking at, but if we check out the market for these items, you can see the spread between them is quite considerable. Now, although the amount isn't huge that are bought and sold each day, if you've got ISK lying around that you're not doing much with, then again the margin here is quite phenomenal. You're almost, it's what, 80% increase? And you can do this throughout a whole range of these multi-plasmids. Again, not quite the price range there, but again you're getting a good 70% increase. And this goes, you can do it obviously on lower value items, and again the spread there from 190,000 ISK to 316 million again is a very good margin. And again, you know, there's a decent amount of these sold every day, bought and sold. And you can tell that by looking at the graph here. So the ones at the bottom are the ones that are generally sold to the buy orders, and these are the ones that are sold to the sell orders. I got that the right way around. Buy orders, sells, yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot of items here being sold on a regular basis, and there's a lot of being sold to these orders. Now obviously there is a bit of competition here. As you can see, the last order was updated just 15 minutes ago, and the one before that was 40 minutes. So people are actively on this market, but again that's not a huge amount of people, so it's quite easy to get in and get on. As I said, the thing I really like about this is that you can start basically at any level. You can start, if you've not got a huge amount of ISK, you can start, so say with the lower tier multi-plasmids. So again, there's 1 million there, you're starting at 2 million. again, loads of these sold every day, so you're not going to get stuck with them. And also, a lot of people do come along and place or buy up the market, as a great example, all at once. So these are selling roughly for 15,000, and I imagine we'll see a huge spike. Yeah, so there we go. So someone has come along, bought a huge spike, and you get this every so often. So huge spike, 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 spike. So you can put a buy order up and let it fill over time. Place your items back on the market and just forget about them, and eventually somebody will come up, buy a huge amount of them because they're doing obviously lots of the Abyssal items, trying to make the one that they want or trying to make a decent one to sell, and there you go. So the one thing I would always recommend with station trading is, again, if you're not particularly au fait with station trading, always have it at the perimeter Tranquility Trading Center, because the broker's fee is 1%, and every time you update the order you are paying 1% instead of the new broker fee that you will get charged when updating an item if it is in jitter. So have it at a distance of 1, so that way, again, it does become a bit of a pain sometimes, because although the vast majority of stuff will be sold in jitter, sometimes you do get it in perimeter, and other times, wrong one, you do get it all over the place. So you will potentially, if you're buying enough stuff, need somewhat a way of transporting it. And if we look here, we can see items that have been sold in just random stations. So it's only a handful of items usually, depending on what you're buying, but yeah, you do end up with stacks of stuff all over the place, which is within one jump of perimeter. So it is something to be mindful of, that again, the vast majority of stuff will come to you in jitter, even if you put it at perimeter, but you will get the odd random person who likes to sell it not at jitter, because obviously jitter can be a bit of a gank fest, or especially 4.4 station. So again, that's why they probably go to these other stations to get rid of their stuff, so they don't have to run the gauntlet of getting ganked. So I've been doing a bit more station trading over the last couple of months, month and a half, and if you remember back the Winter Nexus, as I said at the time, that it was dropping sanctuary items and it was a good time to be buying them. And although some of these orders have dropped off, as you can see here, I've got 9 smart bombs. I've got 1 or 2 elsewhere that haven't been dropped in jitter, possibly at the perimeter station. Yeah, I've got 1 elsewhere, so I've got 10 in total. And from the price of buying them to the point where they are now, again, station trading with a slight difference. It's again, I expected the prices to recover on this, and as you can see here, I've got one from 27 days ago that I was trading just before the Winter Nexus hit, and obviously when that hit, the prices went down. You see quite a steep drop. So I placed a few buy orders with the intention of holding them for when the price recovers, and as you can see, the price is now recovering, and the average is probably around 1.7 million, even 1.7 million. Whether it gets back to that anytime soon is anyone's guess, because obviously there's been quite a lot of these over the event. So either people are holding them expecting the price to recover like I am, or they've gone off to gank battleships. Again, who knows at this point, but it's a nice way of trying to profit from these events that happen, is just buying up items that you can see that are dropping. Again, we knew the true sanctuary items were dropping, and it was a good possibility. Again, the price was going to depressed for certain items, and then it was going to recover. And the Warp Scrambler here is no different. The True Sanctuary with their Warp Scramblers and Disruptors have some of the longest range, and obviously are generally in decent demand. Now, I didn't get any of these. This one dropped for me from one of the events, the sites itself, but again, you can see here how the price has gone down, and then it's going to slowly recover, because these are used in PvP. Obviously people die in PvP and they will need new ones, they get destroyed, etc. So there is a decent market. Now, you could argue obviously this is more speculation as such than market trading, but again, I would kind of lump it together. I saw the price was being depressed, I got my orders in, and will profit from then selling, which again has happened a lot sooner than I expected, but again, bonus. So I've been going a lot more modules than ships, and the reason for this is that ships end up... There's a lot of competition for ships, and so therefore you end up having to change your sell orders quite a lot if you're doing ships, and that can become quite costly. So that can become quite costly in the fact that you're constantly having to either update orders or change them. So the ships that I have been buying for off the market from buy orders have been going on the Hypernet, and I've been trying to make the ISK that way because I'm not paying the tax on the Hypernet. Someone else technically is paying it for me as long as the item sells. So the really important thing in regards to station trading is you can only control generally two things. You can only control your entry point and your exit point, and these are obviously the most important aspects that you have to decide. Now, I do get a lot of questions in regards to station trading from the last video that I did, and there is no actual science for this. However, if you are buying items, never jump on a bandwagon. And this is the point where everybody and their dog is starting to speculate, and the price is rising, rising, rising. So if you are going to buy electrical filaments, for instance, at the moment the price is pretty much as high as it's ever been for the Fierce Electrical. So yes, the price has been rising steadily for a few months. We've had a bit of a dip and we have come back up. But buying them now for an investment on the idea that they're still going to continue to rise is a really bad idea in general, unless you know something that is coming up in the notes, patches, etc. Buying at a high is likely to leave you holding the bag, and that's because there is quite a lot of downside. There's more space underneath than there is up. So if we look, the general bouncing point where either these become unprofitable to run because you're having to spend too much on filaments, or it just isn't worth it, is around 5 million. And as you can see, we reached roughly 5 million here. We bounced off it and came back down, and we broke through it a little here. People started to buy, panic, and prices dropped back down. Now, again, if you're buying at a peak, then the chances are that you're going to end up losing money. You want to be waiting until prices drop. They may never get back down to this point. Was this the change? No. Somewhere around here where the resistance has changed. But the point is, obviously, prices have dropped twice in the last year back to 1 million. And although you're always unlikely to get it at the very bottom of the graph, what you don't want to be doing is buying at the very top of the graph with the thought that, well, these have gone up, they may continue to go higher. So it's always something to be mindful of, that when you're buying, again, anything under 2 million pretty much here is a buy, and anything above 4 million you don't want to be holding a huge amount. So again, it's always something to be mindful of, that you don't ever want to be buying into the hype. And again, we've got it here for the chaotic exotics. And the same principle, if you are running them, then fine, you know, you're going to have to buy, you're going to have to pay the market price, whether that be from buy orders or sell orders, because you have no choice. But if you're a speculator looking to hold these to make ISK, just because it's been going up, again, doesn't mean that it's going to continue. So this is a great example. As you can see here, we've bounced off the 15 million mark at 15 million ISK. Obviously, it's very profitable, or it's making a decent amount of profit that people are willing to pretty much buy them at 15 million ISK. There's not enough coming in to drop the price, and there's enough people running. And at that point, prices started going back up. They got to 25 million, and they're depressed, going back up roughly at 25 million. Whether we'll break through that, I very much doubt it, to be honest. So we're likely to get a bit of downside as people start selling, and that's because people, again, have probably been hoarding them, hoping it's going to go up and up and up. So when they get to the high point, they're going to start dumping, and that will probably bring the price back down. Again, no one has a crystal ball. These could keep rising, but there is a cut-off point to where it becomes unprofitable to buy the filaments versus running the Abyssal site itself. If it's costing you more to run than you're getting in loot, then obviously people are going to stop doing it. And that makes these filaments actually quite nice to buy for speculation trading and long-term holding, because again, they have cycles. Some better than others. Again, this got quite low and has gone down, but you don't really get the waves with the firestorms. That's because firestorms are generally quite hard to run. Let's have a look at the raging gammas. So the average 7.5 million. So again, down at 5 million was quite a buy. At the moment, we're coming up on 10 million. Yeah, we're at 10 million. So we don't generally get above the 10 million mark. Expect it to drop sometime soon, where again how low it goes is anybody's guess, but again it will make a good point to start buying speculatively at around what, 6 million mark. So yeah, graphs are your friends. Use them a lot, and you're not just looking for waves, you're looking basically at the lowest point where the item bounces. So as you can see here, literally 5 million ISK is the I forgot what you call it, but it's the resistance point. That's it, the resistance point where, so say 5 mil tentatively went under, did go under quite a lot there, but bounced straight back up and straight over as soon as people realised. So resistance points are basically points where people have a psychological barrier, and a lot of the time you find these around round numbers. So the 5 million mark is a round number, 10 million is a round number, and again it works exactly like that in real stock markets, that a lot of resistance barriers, if you ever traded on the Dow etc, you'll find that, especially if you're doing spread betting, if you're averaging around 14,000, well, it's a long time ago that, if we're averaging around 27,000, a lot of resistance will be around about the 30,000 mark, and that's because again it's psychological, and you often find it at specific points, so 29,000 points, 28,000, and when you get through that resistance barrier you usually get a bit of a breakout, and if it doesn't go through the resistance point you often get a lot of pullback. And the interesting thing about the EVE markets is they do function very similarly. Yes, there's a lot less factors involved in regards to what can drive a stock price or price in EVE, but the general psychology is still the same, that people see round numbers, and again it's usually where they have that psychological point where you just won't pay any extra or any more. And I think that's a great example here. Again, we were bouncing almost at the 900 million ISK mark, but it wasn't quite enough to push it through, and at that point people have started to either dump their items or just aren't willing to pay that amount of ISK, and that therefore starts to depress the market. And as the market gets depressed, anybody holding these items hoping they were going to go up starts to sell them in a bit more of a panic, and that causes you drop in your price. So yeah, I do find it fascinating how the EVE markets do kind of imitate real life in some respect. Now, I hope you found that interesting. I hope that was informative. Again, any feedback that you have, I am always happy and eager to receive. Get your comment in for winning the skin. It is handy if you obviously leave your character name, but I obviously can contact you through YouTube itself if you are uncomfortable doing that. So with that, thanks for your time, thanks for watching, talk to you again soon.